Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday life. Today, we have a great guest. I'm so excited to have her on. I just recently did one of her tours, and I had so much fun with it. I actually got one picture that I didn't quite get ready for the show here, but I'm so excited to have her tell some stories. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's hand the mic over to her and go ahead and introduce yourself and welcome to the show.
Hi, Dana. This is Lori Juszak, and I own Fort Collins Tours, and we do ghost tours and history tours and that kind of thing. We started about 15 years ago. I moved here, and I was not a ghosty person at all. And I found that there were no history tours, and I really wanted a history tour. And so I went looking around for one, couldn't find one. At the same time, my sons had tried to start an outfitting group to take people who were disabled or elderly on hikes up into the mountains. And there was a moratorium on permits at the time. So they never really got that off the ground, but they had the insurance. So I said, could I use that to do a history tour? And they said, sure. So I used that, and I did about 6 months worth of research. And it seemed that everywhere I went in Old Town, asking the business owners and the building owners about the buildings and about the history and the people, they'd give that all to me. And then as I was about to leave, I call it a doorknob moment. When you reach for the doorknob, they'd say, oh, and did you know that it's haunted? I said, no, I didn't know that. And the first couple times I heard it, I went, well, that's interesting, but yeah, okay. But when I heard it from 30 different businesses in Old Town, I just went from place to place, and people who did not know each other were telling me similar stories. And I went, that can't be a coincidence. There's something going on down here. So I wrote two scripts. I wrote a history script, and I wrote a ghost tour script. And we started doing the tours. And at the time, it was just me and my middle son doing the tours. And I could not give away a history tour. I'll tell you, Dana, I wish I could. I'm a history nut. We just didn't sell a lot of history tours. Now we've got a new history. Well, it's not new, it's a couple of years. So as I was saying, we started the history tours and the ghost tours, and the ghost tours really took off. And we've had such a good time with them. And very shortly after they took off, we were overwhelmed. We did the Groupon thing, which was really silly. And in 24 hours, we sold 418 tickets. And we went, oh no, we didn't mean to do that. And so we ended up hiring people, and they were so much better at the tours than I was. The other thing that happened on the tours, as we were doing the ghost tours, the first 2 months, we had so much happen from a paranormal standpoint that after 2 months, I no longer wanted to do the tours. I was freaked out. I said to my sons, I don't want to do this. And they said, oh, come on, it's not that bad. I said, yeah, it really is. I don't like this. But now we have tour guides. It doesn't bother them as much. If we have somebody it does bother, they don't last. But my tour guides are fantastic, and they've been with me, some of them for 15 years. So it's been a really good experience. They're like family. But we learned early on that there's some places that it's safe to go into, and there are some places that it is not. And we don't go into some of the places where we had more hostile experiences, I guess you'd call them.
Right.
And yeah, so people often ask me what the scariest thing was that happened to us. And I've got a couple. The thing that bothered me the most, and I'm not going to tell you where these places are, by the way, because I don't want to cast any aspersions on them. But there's a very, very actively haunted bar in town. And they had told me that most of the haunting was in the women's restroom. And that's not uncommon because people really misinterpret plumbing problems and noises and things like that. But I took the stories, and I took in a crowd. We had about 15 people, and we lined up outside the restroom, and I started to tell the stories, and the door slammed. And all I could think was, oh no, there's some poor woman in there who's wondering why the heck people are standing outside the restroom while she's in there and telling stories. So I told the assistant guide, please take everybody outside, tell them the rest of the story, go on to the next place, tell them that story. I'm going to wait and say, I'm so sorry to this woman. So I waited outside the restroom for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, knocked on the door. No one answered. I didn't want to bother her. Finally, somebody else came in and walked right in to use the restroom. When they came out, I said, "Is there a woman in there? Is she upset?" And they said, "There's nobody in there." And I opened the door and there are two stalls. There's nobody in there. There are no windows. There are no vents in this place. There was no way for the door to slam. So that's really weird. And one of the things that I have been told was the door slammed because of a spirit. The spirit would slam the door on people. So I didn't think too much about it. And the next weekend we went in and I said, I lined everybody up outside the restroom and I checked to make sure there was nobody in there so I wouldn't offend anybody. And I started to tell the stories and I left the door open and the door slammed really hard. Not like a window was below behind it, but like someone went bam. At that point, I said, okay, we're leaving. Left. The next weekend, I had a family member in town and she's very spiritual. And she said, oh no, this is not happening. This is not a ghost. We're going to go back. I'm going to go on the tour with you. I'm going to show you that it's safe. Okay. She's a very comforting person. So she went with me on the tour. And when we got to this stop, she said, look, I'm going to have you there. Everybody is on the tour with us. And she says, at the very beginning, I'm going to have you touch the door. I'm going to have you look inside. There's nobody in there. I'm going to have you move the door back and forth. It's just a normal door. And she did. And it's just fine. And she says, I want you to just touch the door. So I put my hand up and the door came like that and almost got my fingers caught in the jam.
Oh, no.
And at that point, I went, yep, I'm done here. Thank you. And that combined with the feeling that there was hostility and you just could feel it emanating. So we left and I frankly have never been back. I've been back in that bar again, just to drop in and say, we might have a haunted pub tour come in and we don't go back to the restroom area. We go in and tell stories in there, but I was freaked out and I just was never going to go back in there again. So, and that particular bar has some really interesting backstory to it. So
it's kind of interesting. I have a story of a bathroom myself from just
really?
recently. Yes. We went camping. I was on your tour, last weekend? So it was the weekend before that we went camping and I had to go to the restroom. And so I knock on the door and I hear this, on those apps where you can hear the spirit and it's just kind of like a noise. You can't really hear anything with it. That's what it sounded like.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for a couple minutes, see if anybody's in there. I'm like, just in case that spirit needs to finish up or anything, I'm not going to interrupt her or anything, I'll back up. And sure enough, a few minutes later, I knock on the door again and no reply. So I went in and nothing in there.
So, how about that? They were just warning you they were in there. Along the lines of the restroom stories. One of my dearest friends is an empath, and she just texted me about probably yesterday, I think it was, and said that she was down in a place in Loveland, a coffee shop in Loveland, right off of 4th, I believe. And she said she went to run into the restroom, wasn't even thinking about ghosts, and walked in, and she heard a voice say, "Stranger, why are you here?" And it startled her. But back in the 1800s, if you didn't know somebody, that's what you called them. You would say stranger. It was a woman's voice. So we think there was nobody else in there. And just kind of interesting that they would use the term stranger.
So. Yeah, that's interesting. I have another bathroom story, but I'm going to let you go ahead and speak because mine kind of goes off into another area.
Okay. Did you want me to continue with another story or do you have any questions?
We'll come back to mine if you run out of stories. So I'll let you go ahead and keep going.
Oh, yes. Well, I just was going to say that the second most scary time on the tour, I wonder how many people remember the old Armadillo restaurant and the old Armadillo garage. And right now the Elizabeth Hotel stands on that land, but that is cursed land. I'm not kidding. Because in addition to a domestic violence murder, there were also 4 suicides on that land over the last 110 years. And when that commercial airliner went down in Crystal Mountain, they brought the seats down and stored them in that garage. And they still had residue from the bodies because it was a very fiery crash. It was very sad and awful. And that garage had this feeling of suicides and death and sadness and fear. It just was a very uncomfortable garage. But we used to go in there with the tours. It was very creepy. And two things with that garage that kind of freaked me out. One day I went in there at 2:00 in the afternoon. I was helping out the Masters in Tourism class from CSU, and there were about 20 students. And the garage was completely empty, except for a stack of plastic chairs right behind me. And I was teaching them how to stage a tour. And I said, okay, when you come in, the first thing you're going to do is scan for safety, make sure there's nothing unsafe, nothing that somebody's going to trip over, no hanging wires near puddles of water, that kind of thing. And as I'm talking to these young people, their eyes get really big looking past me, and I hear the chairs sliding sideways, the stack of chairs. And they were physically sliding sideways on the cement. It's a flat garage. There was no reason for it. And then we heard scratching on the walls going around the room twice, going fairly fast, like somebody was walking around and scratching the wall with fingernails. And I said, don't panic, because it could be one of your friends outside freaking us out. And we went outside to look, and I had forgotten the entire outside there was brick. It would not have made that sound like it was on the drywall inside. So that freaked me out pretty badly. And then it was a month later, and we had a monsoon come through during a tour. And our tour was down at the Northern, and I had said to the guide, I will run down and unlock the Armadillo garage, and I'll have it ready for you. So if it starts raining, you can run right in. Well, I got to the Armadillo garage, and I opened the Armadillo garage, and the sky opened, and it was, the rain came down and lightning and thunder right in Old Town. I mean, literally the lightning and the thunder was hitting at the same time. And I realized that I had a choice of either staying in this god-awful, scary garage or going out and standing under lightning and thunder in a puddle. And I had to think about it. I really had to think about it. So I stood hugging the door for a half an hour. This monsoon went on, and I felt like there was somebody in there. I heard things in the back. I mean, I will give you, there were bats in there. There were rats in there. I'm fine with bats and rats. I love animals. But I felt like there was something else in there, and I really wanted out. And there was no way to get out of there without exposing myself to all kinds of the weather. So
yeah,
it was just scary. But we have friendly ghosts too. We have a very friendly Frenchman who loves women. And there's one place that we go under, and he will put a cold, clammy hand around an ankle if a woman is wearing shorts and scare her to death. The employees have reported it quite a bit. He will pull hair up, and it's not like static. He will actually grab a clump of hair and pull it up like this. It's happened to me. We were walking out through the tunnel, and the first woman's hair got clumped, put up. The next woman's, and everybody's screaming. And I went through, and mine did that. It was like, whoa, that's so strange. And I swear, I think he just waits down there for us for tours to mess with us. I think this is entertainment for him. So we actually have an EVP of him, and we didn't even realize what it said. We do EVPs, and we will have everybody be entirely silent for 20, 30 seconds. And when we play it back, we never really expect to get anything. One day early on, we did. And we couldn't understand it. And a gentleman from a radio station, I wish I'd asked him if I could name him, but I should have done that. But anyway, he took it back to the radio station. He was a DJ with a local radio station, and he enhanced it, said, oh no, it's definitely a human voice, but I don't know what he's saying. So we played it for everybody on every tour. And about 3 months in, a woman stood up and she said, I know what they're saying. I know why you don't understand it. She said, it's in French. And it never occurred to us it might be in a different language. And he was saying, that's not my girl, or that's not my daughter, or not. She said it could be either one. And that would make sense because the fur trappers who came here in the 1830s and who settled the area, Antoine Janisse and a lot of his cronies were French Canadian and they spoke French. So that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That is the one apparition I've ever seen. I was down there shutting off lights, closing things down after a tour. My middle son had taken everybody upstairs and I said, I'll just close up. And I came around a corner and there was a tall man facing the other way in a black jacket. It was a long coat kind of thing and a bowler hat. And I thought it was my son because my son is tall. So my first reaction was, oh my God, you scared me to death. Why are you down here? I said, are you trying to get the life insurance? Give me a heart attack? And the figure just faded away. And I will tell you, if you've ever seen a fat 50-year-old sprint upstairs, I took them 2, 3, 4 at a time. I was so scared. And I got up there and I said to my son, Robin, you won't believe what I just saw. And he goes, was the guy down there? And I said, you've seen him? He goes, yeah, I didn't think anybody believed me, but if you've seen him, then I understand.
And let me tell you, people, some of these stairs are very scary to even be walking up. They were very steep, very small, and there's tripping hazards on the top and bottoms of some of these stairs. So for her to be running up these stairs, I can see that was something.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
scaredy cat, I'll tell you, I really am. But yeah, that was a frightening experience. And I don't think he meant to frighten me. I think he just meant to mess with me, or he was just standing there in the room and not realizing he could be seen. I think there is a thin veil in some places. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman, but
No.
there's a twist to that. And it's about being on either side of the veil. And I always think about what's between us and them as a veil. And I always wonder if they're going, man, I just heard somebody. I don't know.
On your tour, there was in one spot that I was taking pictures and all, and there was the mirror in there. I think I sent you the
Yeah, you
picture of
did.
it.
That was a creepy picture. Yes.
So I took a picture of the mirror, and the mirror, to tell you a little backstory. Yes, I had a friend of mine on the tour also, and she was in the mirror, that her reflection was in the mirror.
Yes.
I took 2 pictures within a minute's time. Was within the same minute. I looked at the times on them. In one picture, you could see my friend very clearly. And there was another gentleman that was with us, and he had his whole face right there. He was looking like towards me. So I took that picture, and then my friend had moved back a little bit, and I took another picture, and there was something in there for sure, a different face, but
Yeah.
it wasn't my friend's face. We even looked at it,
Yeah.
and it's like, even if she was in that picture or in the mirror, you would have seen her more clearly like the previous picture. But this was very
Yeah.
almost like, how would you explain it? It was just kind of like
I
not
don't
clear.
know. That mirror has been like a portal for these kind of things. And we've had some incredible photos of people who are not there. And we've had some really scary photos of people who are not there. And yours probably ranks up there with the scariest because that was just kind of an apparition looking kind of face.
Mm-hmm.
And it was scary. And the story down there involves several people that we've seen apparitions in that mirror that match some of the people. So I'm kind of been wondering if that's one of them. So they just want to be seen. And
Yeah.
mirror is a good way for them to be seen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I believe
So
it
I
was,
have to ask, okay.
go
Oh, I
ahead.
have to ask you, Dana, you are empath, correct? All right.
Yes, I have some empath. They say I'm very empath, but I'm still kind
You-
of filling out all of my skills. I'm still
I
kind of
know.
bringing them in, trying to really see it. And so, yeah, I'm still in
Did you,
training.
there you go. Well, I think we all are always in training for life. But Did you feel anything down there when this was happening? I always ask people, did you feel anything? No? Okay. Good to
No,
know.
I didn't feel anything in any of the room. I okay. When we first started the tour, we went downstairs in the basements and everything, and all the way through the tour, when we were downstairs, I did have my stomach that was spinning. I don't
Mhm.
know if that was my nerves for because this was my first tour. So I was
Yeah.
kind of on the nervous side. So I don't know if it was actually my nerves or if I was actually feeling that, but I have
Yeah.
felt that when I go into estate sales and all, I have felt that same kind of feel. So I
Yeah.
wonder if it's the same thing. Up until the last one, the very last one on that tour, I did not have that feel.
Really? That's
So, which was
interesting. And
interesting
the
because
last
it was
one
the
was the
last
last
one
one
was,
walrus?
yes,
Yeah.
but I did
Okay.
not
Well, that's
have
for the friend.
anything on that.
Yeah. That is where the friendly Frenchman is. And also Charlie, who is kind of an iconic character that the walrus has something up about his history there. And Charlie is very friendly too. So it's a very friendly place if you ever want to go talking to ghosts because they hear Charlie whistling in the main ice cream shop at night after they've closed and just whistling and walking around the room. Kind of funny. But
How cute.
yeah, you might have
Yeah.
had a better vibe there. I will tell you, you know how when you get home, even if you don't know if anybody's home, when you walk in, you feel whether there's somebody home or there's not. You kind of have that in your, you just feel like, oh yeah, somebody's home or no, nobody's home. And
Yeah.
I've always had that with going underneath the walrus. I can almost tell if he's going to show up or he's not. So,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
interesting when you said the last place, walrus, you probably felt calm down there because I think those spirits are very calming. They've got a sense of
Yeah.
humor. Um, we had a woman down there who was taking photographs and she was trying to get crouched down. It was an all woman tour. She crouched way, way down to take a photo looking up and she rolled back and almost did a somersault. And a
Mm.
man's voice just started cracking up, just laughing. And there were no men on the tour. And we all looked at each other and went, oh no, let's go upstairs.
That's
So,
funny. That's
yeah,
funny. Yeah. In the room with the mirror, going back to that room,
yeah.
um, there's chairs in there, and
Hmm.
one or two of our people that were on our tour was sitting down on the chair, one male, one female. And
Hmm.
we had a male and female standing up on the kind of the opposite corner. As you come down the stairs, there's that little corner to your left.
Yes.
So they were kind of in there. And I was over on the other side near the mirror. I don't know if anybody else heard anything, but I feel like I heard a female voice that didn't come to those two females there. And she was in the corner. I felt like she was in the corner when
Yep.
she was talking. I couldn't understand her, but I heard a
Yeah.
female voice in that corner. So yeah,
Mumbling a bit.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That we've had that happen before too. I think you were right on with that.
Okay.
We've had so much there. There's a toolbox in there with drawers. We've been standing there and those drawers have opened and closed and there's nobody touching them and there's nothing attached to them and there's nothing behind them. You know, it's
Yeah.
if you look behind, it's a solid. It's not like somebody could be behind doing this. We've had a lot of activity down there. It's like, oh, so,
Yeah,
and
that
again,
was kind.
we're always so far from the exit when we're there. We always
Yes.
tell everybody, if anything happens, do not panic and run down the hall. Let the guide run out first.
To catch it all, you guys. You know,
Yes, yeah.
that's cute.
Like I don't
That's
have to
cute.
outrun the bear, I only have to outrun you. Yes. So anyway,
Yeah, I
okay. Well,
noticed the
that's
guide was over by the door and everybody else was walking around. So
yeah, yeah,
that's funny.
yeah,
But yeah, I had a really good time. Like I say, that was my first one, and those would have been my experiences in my stomach, hearing the female voice and the picture in the mirror.
yeah. So you had the whole boat down there,
Cool.
all the sensory things. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's really cool. So I guess in that sense, I'm an empath, I kind of, you know, I get things here and there. And going with your hearing someone in the house, I was downstairs one time doing like meditation, and I thought I heard my husband come home and was walking around upstairs. So I was like, okay, he's home. I'm just going to finish up here and then head up. Well, I got upstairs and I looked at my phone because I'm like, I'm not seeing him anywhere. I looked at my phone and he just texted, I'm heading home now. He wasn't even
whoa,
home, but I heard him walk in the
that's
house,
scary.
walk around, walk into the kitchen. I heard him walking around. So that was
Yeah.
kind of interesting to
Yeah.
hear that.
That's very odd when those things happen and then you just reflect and go, well, was I imagining that? You know, you weren't. You know, you were hearing it
Hmm.
because you weren't looking for a ghost. You were just listening, going, oh, it's my husband. Yeah.
Right, right. And I expected to see him when I got upstairs, and he was
Yeah.
still at work.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Very cool, very cool. So do you have any experiences like on your own, like outside of these tours?
You know, I grew up in a very haunted house. I mean, it was like a daily thing. And I told you I wasn't really going to talk about that much because it's not that interesting. It was, you know, you kind of look at things that happen when you're growing up and they seem very normal to you until you go to somebody else's house. But we had a young woman who had, I don't know if she was residual energy or she was intelligent haunting, but she used to walk down the stairs there was only one bedroom upstairs. We would hear walking upstairs. We would hear the walking come down the stairs. And then my mom had seen her several times walking down the hallway, thinking it was me because I was a kid and this was a very small woman. And then she would walk into the bathroom and my mom would go in to see if I was in there and there'd be nobody in there. And then we also had the experience of hearing footsteps walk across the living room. And it's an old house. It was a 100-year-old house, and the floor would creak when people walked. But the dogs, we had two dogs, and they'd be jumping and snapping at something that was where the footsteps were. They'd be very upset. We had that walk through our house and go out the entry hall and leave the front door, which had been locked, open. So we had some definite signs it was haunted, but it was so frequent that I grew up with it and took it for granted and wasn't particularly scared. So I don't think whatever was in there was scary. I think it was just there. And
Yeah.
I don't know what energy it was. I don't know if it was residual or intelligent. I know that something there was intelligent, but the young woman, I don't know if that was residual or not. So, but it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So you pretty much have had this your whole life. So it's interesting that you went into the tours then and had those
Yeah.
scary experiences.
Yeah, well, I told you about the scary ones. Most of them have been pretty good. I mean, I really feel like there is a camaraderie, a rapport, whatever, with whatever's under there. When I first moved here, we were trying to decide where to move, and my sons and I were deciding that we all wanted to live in the same city. And we'd never been to Fort Collins, and it was on the Forbes list in, I think, 2008, 2009 of the best place to live. So, in addition to all the other places we were looking at, we came out here and we looked. And I had this intense feeling when I walked into Old Town. It was this comforting, warm, happy feeling that I was home. Old Town was home. And I literally sat down in Old Town as I walked into it. I went, ah, this is wonderful. This is home. And it is ironic that I ended up with two businesses down in Old Town. I mean, I chose that, but I didn't ever anticipate I would be doing a tour. And I had the real estate, and I would not probably have chosen Old Town for the real estate because, to tell the truth, it's so hard to find a parking spot and find your realtor. So
Yes.
I would have picked something in a strip mall or somewhere easier. but I ended up down there and I love it. It's just the whole spirit down there. It's magical. It's just so much fun. There's always so much stuff going on down there. So,
Yeah, it seems like it. I think I told you my sister has a office down there, and a few friends of mine has an office in uh Timber
yeah,
Square or
Shane. Yeah.
yeah, with Shane.
Oh,
Yeah. I speak of
he's his
Shane a
office is
lot.
right down the hall from. Yeah, he's just right down the hall from me. In fact, I saw him yesterday or the day before. I yelled, "Hey!"
Oh,
as he
okay.
was going into
Yeah.
his office. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah, he's all up there. And so that was kind of interesting that there's what four of you in the spiritual realm and the same office building, same floor and everything. That's kind of
yeah.
very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Well, are you good with your stories kind of at the point? Okay, so
Yes.
I'll go back to my other bathroom story. It kind
Okay.
of started earlier in life. I'll make a very quick story to get to the bathroom scene. I was visited by ETs, six of them, and
Wow.
when I was around 22, 23. And they followed me into my current home. Or I don't know if they actually followed me or if they just came to visit, but I felt them here in this house three times. And one of those times I was taking a shower and I felt something behind me. So I turned around thinking it was my husband, but I ended
Yeah.
up turning around and looking down at that 3 foot level.
Wow.
So I had that experience there of the bathroom.
That's
But
scary. Yeah.
they haven't been scary. It's just, oh, someone's behind me, or I
Yeah.
feel someone looking at me,
Right.
but it,
Yeah.
it's never really been like terrifying, scary. I mean, when I first saw them, it was scary just in the sense that I'm not just used to seeing six ETs standing in my room.
No,
So it was
no,
just
that's
that
crazy.
scariness. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was just
Have you
that
have you gotten involved with MUFON at all? That group?
I've had a few guests on the show from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say they're really interesting and they've had some incredible experiences.
yeah,
And every now and then you talk to somebody they don't believe in the extraterrestrials. I'm thinking, if you look at our universe and what's beyond the universe, and if there were, I'm just sure there are other people out there, other beings out there. There have to be. So it would be really naive to think there weren't.
mhm,
And my dad is one of the most level-headed concern. I mean, as far as all of this is concerned, he's not really a believer in all this, but he completely believes in UFOs and extraterrestrials because he's had an experience with seeing a UFO. And he said that happened in the 50s when he was home from Korea. And it was really an interesting thing to see in the sky and coming down. And ever since then, he said he doesn't have any doubt. So
right. I haven't
interesting
actually
stuff.
like really seen one that would be like, yes, I've seen it. Um,
Yeah.
I've seen some strange lights in the sky.
Mhm.
Over I'm sure you know where Harmony is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen them between I-25 and sorry about those people out there that don't know. I-25 and College.
Yeah.
I've seen lights flash pretty quickly across the sky going west right there. Um,
Yeah.
I've had an experience going on that pretty much the same road, kind of going off to work over by the frontage road. I had an experience there, and I have a witness with that one.
That's cool.
Yeah, she got to witness me. I don't even know. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly happened, but I was not in my body. I was the driver,
Yeah.
and she noticed several different things that was not normal with me during that 15-20 second time frame. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I've had that experience Um, I've had several strange, wild, fun, crazy
Yeah.
experiences, but yeah, it's
Well, cool.
pretty crazy out there. Well, you have a
Yeah.
book, and I was lucky enough to have my carpool person I was just talking about let me borrow your book to read, and I've asked for it to asked for it again to read through and kind of catch up on a couple things before the tour. And so it's really good book. It's a really good book.
Oh,
It
thank
talks
you.
about all of the different spots there in Fort Collins that they do the tour with, and it was really interesting, some of those places.
Thank you, Dana. Yeah, oh, that was fun writing the book. We were contacted by History Press because they liked our blog. And mainly they liked my son's writing. I think my oldest son is a very good writer, and part of that was written by him, and he did the photography for it. But yeah, we just wanted to get on paper all the things that were going on. And I keep thinking I've got to update that because we've got so many more experiences. But thank you so much for reading the book. I appreciate that. So,
Yeah, I mean, it was really good book. There's other books in that series, and I haven't quite gotten to them. They're
mhm.
different authors and everything, but I got this one, and I'm excited if you have a book out there for the Loveland tours, because I live in Loveland, so I would love to possibly get a tour of the Loveland, the train
Yeah,
station and what.
come on down and do that. We'd love to have you. And I thought about a book for Loveland. I'm trying to gather information because there aren't nearly as many books about Loveland as there are about Fort Collins. And Loveland
Mhm.
has a fantastic history. A lot of people think that a man named Loveland settled Loveland, and it wasn't. He was the man who was in charge of the railroad going through. But
Really?
the man who settled Loveland, I believe, was named Barnes. I'm not sure, but he had 320 acres that kind of bordered right where the train goes through. And he said, I will deed you easement for the train, but I want to have the land on either side to put a commercial district in. And so the very first building that he put in there was at 4th and Cleveland or Garfield. I don't know. It's like 137 East 4th is the address. And right now there is the pizza place,
Okay.
which is wonderful. And number one axe hole, the axe throwing place. And that's where we
Yes.
start our Loveland tours. But those two combined are in a building that is the oldest building in town. And so that all started back then. And then Barnes, who was quite a smart person and was trying to make a profit by doing this, said, and we will name the town Loveland if you do that. So the guy with the
Wow.
railroad said, ooh, that sounds good. I can have a town named after me. That's what I heard anyway.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard there's a little boy that wanders around at the train station.
Yeah. And
That's
we
what I've
used to
heard.
do tours there. We did tours in 2015, 2016, 2017. And we went into the train station, but that's closed now. It's no longer a restaurant. And then it was offices. And I don't know. I'm having trouble getting into there. I'd like to get into there again, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that
I
is
haven't seen anything in there. I've heard was it the Legion's
the
building?
Elks.
The Elks. Yes, the
Yeah,
Elks. I've been in there, and I've been told the elevators are kind of goofy in there.
they are. Yeah, but it's now condemned. So the interior is condemned. So no one can
Is
go in
it?
there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
There's a
didn't know
lot
that.
down there that's got some structural problems. So
All right.
that's great. Thank you so much, Jane. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about all the editing you're going to have to do because of this, but I really do appreciate you and thank you so much. And I hope to see you again. When you want to go on a Loveland tour, you just give me a call, okay?
You got it. You got it. And you are welcome back if you come up with any other stories that you would like to
Okay.
share. You're welcome to come
That'd be
back.
great. Thanks
Yeah.
so
So
much.
I'm gonna let you go, and I will go ahead and close out here. So I
Have
will
a
see
great
you.
day.
Thank
Take
you
care.
for being on
Bye-bye.
the show. All right.
Mhm.
Bye. Well, thank you everyone for being with the show today. And if you have any stories you would like to share, go ahead and email me at 423@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the show. And don't forget to check out the website, www.lighttalkwithdana.com. And we will talk with you all later. Bye.